Hi again, I am Geraldine and I will discuss the first chapter of biochemistry, which is the carbohydrates. So before that, I will discuss an overview of biochemistry. So let's begin. So what is biochemistry? So according to my research, the term biochemistry is or in which the chemistry of life or the study of processes behind all living organisms was first coined in 1903 by Carl Newberg, was the father of biochemistry. So biochemistry is all about discovering new biological structures and determining their functions and interactions with other molecules. So the biochemistry is both a life science and a chemical science. It explores the chemistry of living organisms and the molecular basis for the changes occurring in living cells. In addition, biochemistry is the study of chemical substances found in living organisms and the chemical interactions of these substances with each other. It deals with structure and function of cellular components such as proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids, and other biomolecules. So there are two types of biochemical substances: the bioinorganic substances and inorganic substances. Inorganic substances such as water and inorganic salts. In bioorganic substances, example, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. In complex bioorganic and inorganic molecules such as enzymes, vitamins, DNA, RNA, and hemoglobin. As isolated compounds, bioinorganic or bioorganic complex substances have no life in and of themselves. Yet, when these substances are gathered together in a cell, their chemical interactions are able to sustain life. So, in plant materials, it is estimated that more than half of all organic carbon atoms are found in carbohydrate materials of plants. So, in human uses for carbohydrates of the plant kingdom extend beyond food. So, in carbohydrates in the form of cotton and linen are used as clothing, and carbohydrates in the form of wood are used for shelter and heating and in making paper. So I'm done discussing an overview of biochemistry, and let's move on the occurrence and functions of carbohydrate. The occurrence and functions of carbohydrates. So as we all know guys, carbohydrates are the most abundant class of bioorganic molecules on the planet Earth. Carbohydrates constitute about 75% by mass of dry plant materials. So dry plant materials produce carbohydrates via photosynthesis. So in this process, carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil are the reactants, and the sunlight absorbed by chlorophyll is the energy source. Plants have two main uses for carbohydrates they produce. In the form of cellulose, carbohydrates serve as structural elements, and in the form of starch, they provide energy reserves for the plant. So the plant products are the major source of carbohydrates and the average of human diet. So the average of human diet contains 2/3 of carbohydrates. So the function of carbohydrates or the usefulness of carbohydrates is their ability to produce energy when they undergo oxidation during respiration. So storage carbohydrate in the form of glycogen provides a short-term energy reserve for bodily functions. So carbohydrates supply carbon atoms for the synthesis of other biochemical substances, such as proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. So carbohydrates also form a part of structural framework of DNA and RNA molecules. So the carbohydrates are produced by the process of photosynthesis, in which six carbon sugars or hexoses are produced using energy of sunlight. So the green pigment of chlorophyll, or the CO2 and the H2O by green plants. So the hexoses produced are the raw material for the biosynthesis of the glycogen. So fats, proteins, and the nucleic acids in living system. So the classification of carbohydrates. So organic compounds containing many OH groups or polyhydroxy and the aldehydes or ketones functional groups. So by convention, the ending "-os" is the reservoir sugar, for example, sucrose and glucose in the class of carbohydrates. So, carbohydrates are classified on the basis of molecular sizes as monosaccharides, disaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. So, when we say monosaccharides is a carbohydrate that contains a single polyhydroxy aldehyde or polyhydroxy ketone unit. The monosaccharides cannot be broken down into simpler unit by hydrolysis reaction, and both glucose and fructose are monosaccharides. So, pure monosaccharides are water-soluble crystalline solids. Disaccharide is a carbohydrate that contains two monosaccharides unit covalently bonded to each other. Like monosaccharides, the disaccharides are crystalline, water-soluble substances. So the sucrose is one of the example of disaccharides. So sucrose is a table sugar and the lactose is milk sugar are disaccharides. So the hydrolysis of a disaccharides produces two monosaccharides units. The oligosaccharides. The oligosaccharides is a carbohydrate that contains 3 to 10 monosaccharides units covalently bonded to each other. The polysaccharides is a polymeric carbohydrate that contains many monosaccharide units covalently bonded to each other. So the number of monosaccharides units present in polysaccharides varies from a few hundred units to over 50,000 units. So the polysaccharides like disaccharides and oligosaccharides undergo hydrolysis under appropriate conditions to produce monosaccharides. Example of polysaccharides are the cellulose and starch. So, the both cellulose and starch are naturally occurring polysaccharides that are very prevalent in the world of the plants. Chirality-handedness in molecules. Most monosaccharides exist in two forms, a left-handed and the right-handed form, same as two hands. So there are two types of objects, which is a superimposable on their mirror image and object with non-superimposable mirror image. The superimposable on their mirror image is image that coincide at all points when the images are laid upon each other. Non-superimposable mirror image are images where not all points coincide when the images are laid upon each other. Human hands are one of the example of non-superimposable image. So all objects with non-superimposable mirror image exist in left-handed and right-handed forms. So the superimposable is achiral and the non-superimposable is chiral. Stereoisomerism, enantiomers and diastereomers. So the stereoisomers are isomers that have the same molecular and structural formulas but differ in the orientation of atoms in space. Stereoisomers can be subdivided into two types, which is the enantiomers and the diastereomers. So the enantiomers are stereoisomers whose molecules are non-superimposable, mirror image of each other. So molecules with chiral center. The diastereomers are stereoisomers whose molecules are not mirror image of each other, so they have more than one chiral centers. So the diastereomers or diastereoisomers are stereoisomers that are not enantiomers or non-superimposable mirror image of each other. So the diastereomers can have different physical properties and different reactivity. So in another definition of diastereomers are pairs of isomers that have opposite configuration at one or more of the chiral centers but are not mirror image of each other.